My biggest influences growing up and still to this day are people like John Mayer, bands like Fleetwood Mac. My mum's a massive Fleetwood Mac fan, so I grew up listening to a lot of their stuff, and they sort of paved the way for my songwriting a bit, if you will. I like to think they did anyway. But as I got older, I started getting into a lot more pop music, so anything that, you know, was very synthy, a lot of Swedish stuff like that. I've really started getting into a lot of, heavier synth music. For example, this is very cheesy, but I love the new 5 Seconds of Summer album. But mostly people like Fleetwood Mac and a lot of singer-songwriter stuff like that I absolutely adore still to this day. Touring with bigger artists and doing tours like that, when you're a support, I think the biggest thing you learn is patience and how to fill the stage on your own. And for me, it was taking somebody else's audience and trying to make them mine, knowing that I've left that show with a new audience and just trying my best to fill the stage. When you're a soloist, you are all you have. So taking that audience and turning them into Leo Sayer fans and Andy Grammer fans, turning them into Abbey Stone fans has been my biggest goal, if you will, doing the support acts. So yeah, that's probably the biggest thing that I've learnt. My most memorable gig is hands down when I was touring with 10cc. It was the week of my 21st birthday, and on my actual 21st birthday we played a stadium in Wollongong, and just before my last song I was saying goodbye to the audience, thanking them, and I just let them know that it was my birthday, and spontaneously they all broke out into happy birthday, and we actually have it on tape, which is incredible, and it's definitely my most memorable music moment. The first time I went to America to play music was in 2013. I just graduated high school. I just wanted to get out of the country and write with a new vision, really. I was writing about the same thing when I was in school. I was writing about, teenage heartbreak, and I was kind of a bit over it. So I wanted to get out and experience some new things. So I did, and I went and played open mic nights in New York. There were times that I was there until 2 a.m. before I could play my set. And it was such an incredible experience for me, because it showed me that there are communities out there in other countries that just want to support music at its core. And that was the first time I ever really saw that in another landscape. And that was the first time I was in the States. The second time was a very daunting experience for me, as well as it was exciting. I actually recorded an EP in Nashville the second time I went, and it was the most incredible experience. I got to play with incredible session musicians that were solely there for the music, and I got to record with Mark Moffat as well, which is a beautiful experience for me, and I would love to do it again sometime soon. So America is definitely a different world for me, and I love it there, so I'm very excited to get back there as soon as possible. So I released an EP, my second EP, recently. So at the moment we are playing live shows with the 2 EPs that I have. I'm currently in the middle of writing and recording fresh material. We haven't decided what we're going to do with it just yet, whether it's going to be another EP. It more than likely will turn into a third EP. But at the moment for me, I'm just really enjoying being in the studio, learning more about all the different equipment, learning more about different writing techniques for myself, collaborating with other writers. So at the moment, I'm really in a creative space where I just want to explore different ways of expressing myself musically. The first EP that I did, I was very spoilt because I got to play with musicians, live session musicians all together in a big studio in Nashville, and it was a very unique experience for somebody recording their first ever EP. It's not something that you would normally jump straight into. You would start a bit slower. I think you would, do what I did on the second EP, which was really strip it back, do everything in-house. With the second EP, we did it all in our studio here in Point Cook. And with that one, I got to learn more about really being hands-on with all the equipment, with all the different instrumentation. And that was really great for me because I got to learn a lot more about that aspect. Whereas in the first EP, it was all sort of done for me, which was amazing, but as I said, very spoiled. So with this third EP or this third record or adventure that I'm jumping into now, I think those two experiences will really blend into one, because I'll have musicians and other incredible creative people that I'll be able to bring on board, but I'll also have this extra knowledge of this studio in particular, and jumping into another studio, I'll know so much more about the recording process than I did the first time around. So it'll definitely be a new and exciting experience for me, which I can't wait to jump into. If money was no issue, what would an Abbey Stone show look like? That is an excellent question. It would be very grand. Obviously, playing as a soloist for so long, I would love to really, really put a lot of emphasis on my band and incredible musicians. That would be, firstly, the thing that I would jump straight into. I absolutely love playing with other musicians on stage. There's an energy that playing by yourself doesn't really compare to. I do love playing solo, but playing with musicians is definitely where my emphasis would go. There would also be, I'm a little bit dramatic, so there would be, you know, a lot of fireworks and, you know, the smoke and mirrors and all that, but playing by myself for so long without that, it's really allowed me to focus more on the music. So coming back to that, stripping it back to basics, the first thing I would work on is the musicians and making sure that the band was really incredible and that everybody had their own moments as well, because I'm very much a team player like that. I really want to, you know, have that experience with the band and the musicians. So that would definitely be where I'd jump straight into first. So for the rest of 2018, I'm really working on brand new, fresh material, really wanting to continue collaborating with incredible songwriters, which I've been very fortunate to do for the first half of this year. People such as Jake Mason, we actually just did a track together, which I'm very excited about. Really just continuing to stay in the studio, exploring the different creative parts of the songwriting and all this amazing equipment, just learning so much more about all of this. Playing live, of course, which is my ultimate favorite thing to do. You can stick me in your studio for hours, but as soon as I'm on the stage, that is where I live. That is where I want to be forever. Obviously, we've got the guitar show coming up, which I'm super excited for. But other than that, I really just want to continue writing and expanding my musical elements and just really figuring out more and more about who I am as an artist and continuing to do so forever.